Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we will be talking about one of my all-time favorite movies, Flubber. Now let's get right into it. So Flubber starts off with Flubber starts off with the professor waking up and having breakfast. And here we meet Weeble, a computer that he designed to help him around the house, and she had this secret crush on the professor, and I just think it's just so adorable. And also, I do like the fact that that robot made him a whole breakfast. He made the professor a whole breakfast. And I do love like if I had a robot to make me breakfast, make my schedule. I mean, that's just so cool. So anyway, he looks over his schedule and he says, after school, I know there's something, I know there is. And the something that Weeble erased because she doesn't like his fiancée Sarah. She erased the fact that he had the wedding after school because he's a professor and they've been having problems at the school. So him and Sarah's been trying to work together to call a lot of people to get money to raise money for the school to keep the school open because they teach at a college. And then we pan over to Sarah trying on her wedding dress, and then we get the whole story. This isn't the first wedding that they had. This is the third wedding because Philip, that is the professor's name, Philip, he actually forgot 2 times about their wedding. But honestly, I can't really blame him for forgetting, because I forget stuff all the time. But I guess from Sarah's side, like Sarah says, if he forgets this time, that's it. So if we pay attention really closely, we will deleted the file that said that you have the wedding to go to at 6:30. She actually deleted that file because she doesn't like Sarah for the professor. Oh, and also we have another robot named Weber. So he is off to school, but yet he teaches in the wrong class. And then he sits down for lunch with his fiancée Sarah, and Sarah tells him the wedding is today and at 6:30 at the church, and we had our rehearsal there last night. And Sarah tells him this is the last time I'm gonna try to marry you. I know that you love me, but I'm not sure that. No. Sorry guys, that's not what she said. Sarah said, I know that I love you, Philip, but I'm not sure that you can love me. And then Philip says, I love you with all my heart. And then the Sarah's friend says that helped her with the dress. When she was making the calls. So she was working and trying on the dress like that is the boss. That is the boss right there. That is so a boss. So her friend and her tell Philip goodbye, and then Philip's getting ready for the wedding, but he asks Weeble, the wedding was not on my schedule. Why was that information deleted? And then Weeble says, I don't really know. And and this is and and this is this is what this is when Philip says, "Are you are you getting another virus?" And then Weeble says, "Well, now that you mention it, I do feel a little feverish." So he feels Weeble, and then he tells her to say so she opens up her computer screen, and then he sees the problem, and then he fixes it, and then he gets on another project. And then Weeble says, "Well, what about your wedding? Should I call the church and tell them you'll be late?" Excuse me. Yes, Weeble. Yes. Call the church and say that the professor's gonna be late. You know he loves Sarah. Call the church for him. So while the professor is working on while the professor is working on the project, Weeble just opens up her computer screen and laughs, and then cancels the wedding and says, "Oh, sorry, Sarah." And then we punt over to the church and we see Sarah about to cry. But I forgot to tell you guys, there's a guy named Wilson who used to go to school with Philip. And Philip doesn't like him because when they went to school together, Wilson always stole Philip's ideas. So when he was about to leave, Wilson said, when Philip asked, "Why are you here?" and 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 and, and Wilson says, "To be honest with you, I'm here to steal your fiance and make her my wife." And then Philip just smiled and says, "Well, I hope you're sadly disappointed." And then Wilson has the nerve to say to my boy Philip, "I will see you at the wedding. Do not invite your mortal enemy to your wedding, Philip. Do not do it." So, while Philip is working on the project, Sarah's waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting there. And then Philip doesn't show up. So Wilson takes her home, and Sarah still has the wedding dress. Wilson takes her home, and he just smiles to himself. When Sarah's in the car and the door is shut, I'm like, "Your mortal enemy number one. You stay away from my boy Philip's girl." So, while the professor is working on his project, that he worked on every single night, isotopes he calls it. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Later on in the movie, he created this multiple compound that is green called Flubber. And that's why he missed the wedding with Sarah, because he created Flubber. But honestly, after creating Flubber, he could have just went to the church. But I know, I'm reading too much into it. So he created Flubber, and now he's working on an isotope project that can make something fly, and it's going and the project is going really well, but his watch goes off, and he tells Weeble, "Oh, my wedding, I cannot miss this one, Weeble." And then Weeble shows him that it is Saturday, 6:30 a.m. So he missed the wedding. So he goes to Sarah's office and tries to explain with Flubber in his back pocket. And he says, "Don't you see, Sarah? Flubber can save this college." And Sarah says, "I don't want to hear it. For the third time in a row, you left me at the altar." But I'm like, "Sarah, come on. He made a mistake. You can see in his eyes he loves you." I'm like, "Give him a second chance." So, to prove to Sarah that Flubber works, Philip says, when I accident, okay, so to prove to to Sarah that Flubber really works, cause last night Flubber got away when they took a picture, so it's sensitive to flash. So Flubber got away when they took a picture, and he finally got it, and everything was okay again. And he's trying to tell Sarah that Flubber is the bouncy compound, and it could save this college. So to prove to Sarah that Flubber works, Philip says, I will put Flubber in my back pocket, and then when I exit this window, the Flubber will send me right back up unharmed. So he exits the so he goes out the window backwards, and this is a bad thing cause Flubber got out of his hands, so he fell down to the ground. And Sarah says, Philip, are you hurt? And then Philip says, just my pride. And then Sarah says, well, if you think you're getting my sympathy, you're wasting your time. We are finished. And then she closes the window on him, and he says, Sarah, as he leans over to the side because he hurt his back. So, with Flubber being a new thing, the professor tests it out, and he makes his team win, his basketball team. Because Sarah is now seeing Wilson, but they're just friends, and Sarah was over at his house for wine, and this guy Wilson had the nerve to almost kiss Sarah, but she backed away. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, Philip made his car fly. So him and Weeble went to Sarah's house to tell her that they made the car fly. But Wilson was there, and they were out on the porch, and they were talking, and Philip was, Wilson was saying, how beautiful Sarah is, and yada yada yada. They made a date to go to a basketball game. If Sarah's team wins, she will buy Wilson dinner. If Sarah's team loses, they go up to the mountains for the weekend. So Philip decides to use Flubber. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm trying to talk really fast, so that's why I keep huffing, because I'm trying to talk really fast and get it all out. So Philip decides to use Flubber to win the basketball game. So he creates tax, Flubber tax, that will make his team faster. So Wilson team doesn't win. Oh, and also I forgot to tell you, Weeble created this beautiful hologram of this woman wearing a white dress, and the hologram goes into the room, and the hologram almost kisses the professor, but the professor wakes up and gets the idea to have Flubber for the basketball game. Now, the reason I brought up the hologram will be important later. So remember the hologram, the woman in the white dress, because she will be important later. So at the basketball game, using the Flubber tax, Philip's team actually wins. So that means Sarah's team wins. So that means a lonely a, a, a lonely weekend in the mountains for Wilson, which I am so proud of Philip. Way to go, Philip. And he tries to tell Sarah that it's Flubber that won the basketball game, but she just says, "You are remarkable." And good night, Philip. And she drives away with Wilson in his car, and then when and then and and then when Philip comes home, we will try. Okay, so 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 when Philip comes home, he tells Weeble, "I know I love her, Weeble, but the only reason I'm forgetful is because I'm in love with Sarah, because I think about her all the time." And 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 Weeble is recording this, and then she takes the recording to Sarah, and then Sarah and Philip make up. So Sarah and Philip are on good terms because Sarah goes to Philip's house and she kisses them, and we will see them kiss. So everything is all right now. And Philip shows her the flying car. So Sarah says, "This is it, Philip. This is how we save the school. Flight, 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 flying cars, flight." So so they take him. So, so they take Philip's invention and try and and they sell it, and then they get a check for $100,000, and that is how they saved the school. But I forgot to tell you guys, when the professor was out with Sarah trying to getting his invention sold, the these two bad guys broke into their house. They hit Weeble. They hit my girl Weeble. They hit Weeble. So Weeble's passed out, and the Flubber is gone. And you will never guess why they were doing this. They did this because they um uh, uh, they did this because their boss's son Junior was supposed to get straight A's, but since he's not passing chemistry, the professor's class, that's why they did this. That is why they broke in, because they want their son to play basketball again and to get straight A's. He is rich. He's rich, okay? This boy is rich. But when it comes to school, my friend, you have to work just like everybody else is working. You're not just gonna get straight A's because you're rich. And that is what he told his father. Like, they told me I was supposed to get A's. At least that's what I was told. Nothing in this life is free. You're gonna have to work at it, my friend. Work on getting A's yourself. So, because of this, they go to Junior's dad's house. And it turns out that the Junior's dad takes him to his office, where we meet the other professor. That is the boss of Junior's father. Wait for it, Wilson. So Wilson was behind this whole robbery thing. Yeah, I bet you're singing a different tune about a mouse there, aren't you? Okay, so they go to so they go to rescue the Flubber. They put um Flubber gel on their hands, but this is for good reason. They put a special cream on their hands so they can handle the Flubber, because Flubber is very, 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 very sticky, and so Flubber is actually very, 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 very sticky and rubbery. So with the gel on their hands, Professor turns on his car light. The professor turns on his car lights. So when they pretend that they are going to see the Flubber, the professor grabs the Flubber really quickly, and the Flubber is afraid of the light. So him, Sarah, the Flubber, everybody ends up fighting, and they end up winning against Wilson and saving the school. And there's one more thing. When Weeble was destroyed, she put out one last file. And then the professor typed up that file name. And then the hologram said, "Hi, Professor, it's me, Weeble. If you are watching this, I am no longer here. But I have to tell you that a complete, full, and new design of me is in this file, and you didn't forget it. I and and, and Professor, you didn't forget it. I I never showed it to you, and 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 and, and and Weeble says, I made a few changes. I I removed some of my flaws and added a little of you. I hope you can love my daughter the way that I love you." And then with that, the hologram goes off, and 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 we see and 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 and, and we see the new design of Weeble. I'm sorry. Give me a minute. No. It was just so beautiful the way she said, "I hope you can love my daughter the way that I love you," because they were all family. So I just really think that was a beautiful trip. I just really think that was a beautiful touching scene. And my favorite part is when they are taking down the bad guys. The professor says, "Do it for Weeble," and then when Sarah thought, and then when Sarah throws Flubber in one of the bad guys' faces, Sarah says, "This is for Weeble." Yeah, for Weeble. For Weeble. Weeble and Weevil and the Professor are my two favorite characters in this. So so after they rescue Flubber, take down and so after they rescue the Flubber, take down Wilson and the rest of the bad guys. They finally get married, and the professor is not at the wedding, but the new Weeble is. And the professor is on screen, and they finally get married, and and um and um and and and, and the professor tells Sarah, "I will meet you at the wedding reception." This is going to be remarkable. So he actually blows up his house, but everything's fine. And then we get an airplane and a little boy, and the little boy won't look out the window. Oh, and did I tell you there is this little boy who's seen the professor bump into his bush, the 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 bush outside the window, the bush, and you know the two goons that were and 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 you know the two goons that worked for Wilson? Yeah. They went over to the professor's house, but the professor got them because he sprayed some cream on a bowling ball, and it actually bounced, and a golf ball, and it actually hit the two guys on the head, and these balls come in and out of the frame repeatedly, and it's just so funny how the balls keep coming back. But anyway, this little boy looks out the window because his dad says, "Buddy, we are in the sky, 100 miles in the air. There are no bad guys up here. You can look out the window." So he looks out the window, and he sees Sarah and Philip waving hello to him, and Flubber and the new Weeble who calls Sarah Mom. And it is just so cool, and they are on their way to Hawaii. Hands down, this is the best movie yet. Bye, and I will see you guys in my next video, which will be Jumanji. Bye. See you guys in my Jumanji video.